And it goes a little something like.
From a young age, I was always interested in different mediums of storytelling, two of the main ones being obviously books and films. But in recent years, especially our current one of 2016, I've kind of realized that they've become one and the same. By which I mean that most films, or at least the ones that do well budgetary-wise, are based on something, be it a book, a comic book, a TV show, or even another film. Now this idea came to my mind through writer Max Landis, who brought up the point multiple times through different mediums until he explained them fully on the Collider Movie Talk podcast. And then I'd constantly been thinking of the industry's adamance not to accept original ideas. So this is my presentation on the lack of originality in the movie industry. The lack of originality is concerning to me because it slightly indicates that in the future we won't have original films and rather just a bunch of films based on other properties, starting a never-ending cycle of adaptations. Studios, for whatever reason, aren't highlighting original films because they see it as a huge risk. A lot of original properties don't make back their money, but in my opinion, only because we've been conditioned to see films based on things we already know about. For instance, the 2016 dark sci-fi film, Midnight Special, which was produced on a $16 million budget, only made 1/3 of the budget back, amounting to a return on ticket sales of only $6.3 million. Now, although these $6.3 million sound like a lot of money, it's fairly little for the amount of money the studio put into the film, and it's a meager amount to the amount of money films with even larger budgets, which are based on other properties, get. Even comparing it to original films almost 6 years ago, it's a fairly small amount. Films like Inception were allowed a larger budget up to $160 million, and they could get almost 8 times that in ticket sales. However, a lot of studios don't realize that a fair bit of new original films are successful. For instance, 2 notable examples of the year being Money Monster, a political thriller starring George Clooney, and The Nice Guys, a 70s-style spy flick starring Ryan Gosling and Hugh Jackman. Both were fairly successful films, earning at least the money put into the film. One of them was more successful critically than the other, though. But either way, they were both fairly successful monetary-wise. So why does the film industry ignore this fact and simply go on making the same adaptations? Well, here's my theory. The film industry, and specifically Hollywood, don't want to hire talented writers and directors to produce IPs that will be successful monetary-wise. Now, I'm not saying that all adaptations, spin-offs, and the like are not being put together by talented people. The entire Marvel universe is kind of proof of this. Give or take 1 or 2 films. But it's undoubtedly easier to get a hack job who just graduated from working behind the scenes on all the Alvin and the Chipmunks films to lazily throw together a gritty reboot of the Seinfeld series as a 3-hour-long film starring Shia LaBeouf than it is to hire talented writers from the better side of film reboots to write and produce a marketable original property. Besides, even when independent properties are made, they are generally made by more famous and influential directors who already have gained influence in the film industry. Now, this might sound like a smart move on the film company's part, but it locks out new producers, directors, writers, and actors who might have a good story to tell. But that story would not be realized because a bunch of studio executives only want guaranteed box office sales, no matter how good or bad a film is. This is the most concerning thing to me, as someone who wants to work in the media or film industry in the future, as it looks as if new talent won't be hired no matter how hard they work to get a chance. People should go to see films to see something unique, or something interesting, or something new. But now all films have become some sort of social meetup. And I have no problem, obviously, with people going to the films as more of a social event. Even I've done this a few times. But even if that is the case, isn't the point that you're bonding over the film? Furthermore, going to the cinemas is how you see a new film that might be different, or might be good, or might be interesting. But unoriginality in movies is ruining that. Why would you pay the almost £10 that it takes to go to the cinema and watch something derivative or something that you've seen before, when you could just stay home and watch another film with some friends or whatever? Anyway, that was in my opinion the reason so many films these days are so derivative and are almost always adapted from something else. Studios only want to see a return on their budget over the quality of the films that they're making. But after all, maybe Hollywood's changing. After what may have been one of the more lackluster years for film in recent years, which happened to be filled with almost exclusively reboots, sequels and the like, with some well-received independent properties, perhaps Hollywood might wake up and start greenlighting more original films. In fact, Netflix has already greenlit an original Max Landis film named Bright with a $90 billion deal. So maybe we do have hope for original films, maybe just by alternative means. But until the mainstream industry changes, we need to see original films. We need to continue the idea and try to get the industry back again. But until then, we might as well just watch the next few Marvel films and wait until the industry is convinced to change. Anyway, this was a fairly loaded topic, so I might make another video on it. Like and sub and comment and all that if you like this or want another more in-depth video on the topic. And goodbye, my dudes.
I don't know. I just remember it being so much brighter, I guess.
Cigarette ash like wildfire, burning holes in the nighttime. Open scars feel like barbed wire, white lights flying high like a ceasefire. Dropping flags on the shoreline, this is as far as I can feel right. Cause what you don't know can haunt you, and oh